Okay, so I said that I want to start getting into AWS. And so what I've been doing for the past couple days is watching tutorials, watching people build AWS, either trying to figure out what are the different services available to me, how do you actually integrate those services together, and there's so much. There's so many different services. There's also a lot of different intricacies about how to actually connect them up together with each other. So I've been trying to figure out, like, okay, well, how do you do this? And watching a lot of tutorials, and I think that that's a fairly good way to get at least an overview of the different services that are available, what they can do, how they work, and then see how people actually get a bigger system with multiple components in it. But there's also a lot of value to actually coming in and playing with the AWS yourself and building it yourself. So what I want to do today is, okay, I've watched a couple of those videos, I've watched a couple of those tutorials. Now it's time for me to actually try to implement one. So I was considering, okay, well, do I just jump in and try to build something? Or the other one is I follow along with a tutorial. And I think I'm going to go with following along a tutorial. The reason for that is just because if I just jump right into it, I feel like there's going to be a lot of things that I miss. And it will just be a lot. I want to get to the point where I can, ice skate. And what I mean by that is, you do a little bit of motion and you just go a long ways. And then you do a little bit more motion and you go even further, right? There's no need to like walk in molasses or something like this, right? So that's what I'm going to try to do. And along the way, so that's what this video is going to be, is me watching a tutorial or following. I've already watched the tutorial, but I'm trying to build what the tutorial has built. So I'm going to be trying to implement that tutorial. And if I get stuck along the way, then okay, great. Let's try to figure out, go back to the tutorial and then figure out, okay, what did I do wrong? Why did I do that wrong? What am I missing? And so along the way of this video today, I will be trying to also find those points which I don't quite understand. So whenever I come to something that, I'm a little bit confused about, okay, time to like dive into it, figure out, okay, well, what's going on? How is this working? And just get a better feel. So my idea and philosophy towards a lot of learning in engineering is just play around with it. And the more you play around with something, the more you will be comfortable and familiar with it. So let's, I'm just going to close this a little bit or make myself smaller. There we go. Okay, so this right here, this is the video. So this person here, Tiny Technical Tutorials, did this video. And what they are doing is they're going to be using these AWS services. Okay, so AWS Amplify. What this is going to do is this is going to allow me to host a web page on the internet with a public URL that I can reach from anywhere, from my local MacBook, from a separate computer on a different network, anywhere, right? So that's what AWS Amplify is. So we're going to put something on the public internet, okay? And now it is going to then do a fetch command. So when you type something, there's going to be a form. You put data into this form and then you do submit, and then that submit does a fetch command to fetch to where? Well, it goes to actually this API gateway. So we're going to create a gateway, and all of these are AWS services, but it sends it to this API gateway. This API gateway triggers a Lambda function, okay? And then this Lambda function will do the calculations for this request, which we sent from our browser. And then it will, so it processes that request, it does the mathematics, and then it saves to a DynamoDB, so a database here, and then returns the result back to the user. Okay, so that's what this project is doing, and let's get started. Okay, so then they give a demonstration. So you put the base of the number, you put the base of the number, then you put what you want to raise it to, so to the power of 4, and then you can press calculate. Okay, so let's come here. We have all of this. Okay. Okay, so first,
I'll start with a text file, and we'll call this index.
They will create the HTML file. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to, they provide the links for the data that you can just copy and paste. I'm not going to copy and paste because I'm literally trying to learn it, right? So that's not obviously what I'm going to be doing. So let's come and let's just write that into our editor here. So I want to create something. So this is going to be an HTML file. What did we call it? What did they call it? I don't know. Index. Okay. Index.html. Okay. So now we can just do that. It doesn't autocomplete. Fine. There we go. Okay. HTML. Okay, cool. And we want head. Okay. And now meta. So char set. We're just doing the normal like UTF. This one I probably could have just copy and pasted because we've done HTML files before, obviously, but you know, I'm just trying to make sure that I get everything. So to the power of math, I'm just gonna straight up copy it right now, and then we can play around. First we copy it, we get something working, and then we start playing around with it. So the next videos might be, okay, well, how do I introduce a different service? How do I change something? How do I change what the Lambda function does? How do I maybe trigger the Lambda function? That's another thing that I want to try is, okay, well, in this video, they do, let me turn up my brightness for a second. There we go. Oh, I can see you guys. Okay, or I guess I can see myself, but anyways, I don't see it. I don't see you guys. I just see myself talking to a computer. But anyways, where was I going? Oh, right. So when I was watching the tutorial, the Lambda function gets triggered by a request to that API gateway, and then the API gateway sends it over to the Lambda function. But I know what you can also do is you can trigger a Lambda function based off of many different other, not stimuli, but like events. There we go. And so what I want to think about moving forward after we're done with this video, after we get this working, okay, well, what if, for example, we do something in S3? What if we have a S3 bucket and we put some data in it? We put a photo. Okay, well, how can I trigger a Lambda function based off of that event? The event being data uploaded to an S3 bucket. Okay? How do we do that? I don't know right now. I have no idea. But that's something, okay, moving forward into the future, I want to figure out. But for right now, we're just getting something that actually works. And then we'll figure out how do you play with it, how do you change things, how do you add new services, etc. Okay, so now body, okay, fine. It's just a very simple thing. So body is, okay, cool. Save that, and I think what they do now is zip it. So, select for, okay, how do you do this on a Mac? Hold up a second. Wait, hold on. Okay, is there, am I just not seeing it? Reveal in Finder, open with, open to the side. Okay. Let's open up the terminal and okay, fine. What is the terminal command for Mac to zip a file? Okay, let's see what it says. Okay. Oh, it's just zip and then output.zip and file name. Okay, so let's figure out what they put this as. Just index.zip. Okay, fine. So come here. There we go. And zip index.zip index.html. Okay. It might have worked. Maybe. So we'll see. If we get some kind of error, then it will that will be that. Okay, so we are coming over to AWS. So I'm gonna come into here and go to that amplify. Okay, so let me come here. I am going to go amplify. So this is one of the interesting things that I am starting to deploy, that I'm starting to understand is that AWS is kind of like you have all of these different almost microservices that they're able to communicate with each other, and you just okay, wait, hold on. Deploy from this, was this the same as what was coming up here? It looks different. What is this? Hold on, maybe I need
Amplify?
Amplify, yes. Come here.
Now, I do have one app here already.
See, this is different. Hey, Oregon. Haha. I like that. Okay, but this is different. Why is this different? AWS Amplify. Deploy an app, start with template. Well, I guess it's deploy without GitHub, okay. And start with a template. Wait, what did I just press? Hold on. Start with a template, deploy an app. Deploy without GitHub, okay. To manually deploy an app from Amazon S3 or zip file, select deploy without Git. Okay, that's what we want. And then next. Okay. Okay, so here's where we drop our zip. So let me come here and drop it, okay. The item you attempted to upload is not a zip. Please zip your what? This one, right? make sure you zip the contents of your build output and not the top level folder. For example, if you're is there a way to open this? No. So why are we coming into this? Okay, so come in here, and now I should be able to go to desktop, and then I should be able to go into AWS files and choose this one. What? Okay, fine. I was meaning to click on that. Okay, so
This is the completed app that we saw a minute ago. So I'll create a new.
I hope that the audio is not too loud. I know sometimes when I'm doing the screen recording, the audio from my computer is picked up and it's either way too like soft or way too loud. So hopefully all of that works. I think the last time I did that, it actually did work out fine. So
New app.
if I'm blasting your guys' ears, I apologize.
And here we just want to host the web app. We don't have a Git provider, so you can
Oh,
select this option.
I didn't do host anything. What was that? New app, build an app, or host an app. I don't know. That's the other kind of scary thing about AWS is you don't really know what you're doing. And so if you accidentally do something and then all of a sudden you're going to get charged money for it, it's like, I don't know about this. That's scary. It's scary, huh? Any URL, Amazon S3? Yo, I don't know. I have no idea. Put that lower so I can easily click on it. But anyways, they do host web app. Okay. Host my web app. It's different, right? Start a manual deployment. Okay, well, let's go to ChatGPT. I am trying to follow a tutorial for AWS. One of the steps she is using is to host web app, right? Host web app with AWS Amplify. Okay. But when I go to AWS Amplify, I don't see that host web app option. Instead, I see something similar, which is what? Which is start a manual deployment. What is the difference? And which one should I be doing? Am I going to be charged money? Okay. So what's the difference between host web app and start a manual deployment? Host web app typically refers to a Git-based CI/CD workflow. So we're not doing that in AWS Amplify, this method connects your app to a Git repository. So we're not doing that. And Amplify automatically builds and deploys your app every time you push changes to your repo. That's not what we want. We're not doing that complicated right now. We're just putting a simple HTML file onto our page. It's ideal for ongoing development and collaboration. We're going to be deleting this after this video, right? So that's not what's up. Okay, start with a manual deployment is a simpler, more direct method. You upload a zipped folder of your built web app. Okay, this is sounding a little bit more in line. Okay, here we go. And Amplify hosts it without needing a Git connection. All right, okay. This is great for quick testing static files, which that's what we have, or when you don't want to set up CI/CD. Okay, cool. Will you be charged AWS? Amplify has a free tier, which includes 5 gigabytes stored per month, 1 gigabyte served per month, and 1,000 build minutes per month. Okay, so this is going to be like, how big is our file? Like 20 kilobytes? I don't know. Let's, can we do like inspect? There's no info here? Okay, whatever. Anyways, I would just go back to ChatGPT and ask what's the Mac command for like inspecting. Let's just do it. 'Cause it's probably fairly similar to Linux. So if I don't know how to do it in Mac, that probably means I don't know the Linux command, and that would be helpful. Okay, so if I have a file in Mac or Linux, and I want to use the terminal to get the information about that file, for example, size of file, etc. What is the command? Okay, let's just figure that out so we do ls. Okay, so we list it and then we put the flag for L and H. I don't really know what L and H means. Okay, so okay, fine. So ls, and I want to do index.html, and I need the flags of LH. Oh, okay, fine. So 181 bytes. Okay. Yeah. So it's small. And let's get back to the tutorial. Okay, so we're gonna come here and we're gonna come here, drag and drop. Yeah, that's what we want. We do this. What's the app name? I don't know. This one is gonna be math web page. Okay, branch is staging. So we should be able to do save and deploy, but first I'm gonna go back to that tutorial and make sure that that's what they do as well. So they come here, they do power of math. I don't know if that's important. I guess we'll figure that out. Okay, drag and drop, they drag it in there, and then there we go. Okay, so let's do that too. So save and deploy. Whew. Is it done? Is it done? Is it done? Deployed! There we go. Ooh, good thing that didn't fall. Okay, okay. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Okay, okay. So, now, I kind of want to click this. What's going to happen? Hey, we see that. We see it. There it is. That's okay. There it is. All right. That's pretty cool, huh? Add a custom domain, enable firewall, connect a new branch. Okay. All right. Okay, okay. So now, what do we want to do?
The deployment is successful.
Yeah.
And here is your link.
Haha.
You can also get to this anytime by coming over to domain management, and you can access those links as well.
Domain management. Okay, so we're gonna come overview? No. Domain here. Okay. I'm not quite seeing it, but okay. Domain management, and then what happens?
Okay, so let's open this in a new tab. I have the original one open here too. Let me just close that HTML page. Super simple. It's to do, and it's just a bit of code that runs in response to.
All right, so now we're gonna set up a Lambda function.
Some trigger.
Okay.
For example, when you upload a picture or something like them, you just and here in the console, go ahead and open up a handy.
So we're gonna go back to here. We're gonna open up a new tab, okay? Like this. And now, let's see. I was seeing if if it shows like all of my applications, but I'm not seeing that. So lambda, okay. Come here. Hopefully it's similar to what they're showing. Mine is different, but.
And this time we're going to navigate to Lambda. My original application.
See, they have this sidebar. I don't really have that. Oh, okay. This one is looking better or more similar. This one is different. Hosting, monitoring, app settings, hosting, access control, custom domains. Okay. Anyways, we're gonna do create a Lambda function, right? Create a function, okay. Author from scratch, yes. Container image, use a blueprint, no. We don't want any of that. So, math lambda function, okay. We are going to be doing this in Python. Okay, so what are our options actually? So we have .NET, so C# here. We have Java. We have a whole bunch of Javas, okay. We have Python and we have Ruby. Amazon Linux. For Go, Rust, C++, okay. And then a whole bunch of Javas and Node.js, which is up there as well. Anyways, we're gonna do Python. Do we want ARM or x86? I think we're probably gonna do x86. I don't remember. Okay, let's see what they do. Okay. Yeah, they seem to.
The lower right. All right, this code.
Okay, they're doing x86 as well. Permissions. Do we need to do any of this? Create a new role. So one of the things that I'm confused about is with permissions, like what is role? What are policies? What are all of this? Like, and then I know that I have this IAM, which is, I know the I know access management. I forget what the I is. I forgot. But, okay, let's just, hold on, let me come back up here.
And create function down here on the lower right.
So they don't mess with any of the other permissions, so I'm not going to either. Okay. Maybe that's a good thing for ChatGPT. Just find out. what is a role and what is a permission? Okay, this is in the context of AWS. While it's doing its thinking, I'm going to take a water break. Okay. All right. Identity. Ah, that's what the I stands for. Okay. Identity and access management role. Okay. An IAM role is a temporary identity that AWS services or users can assume to perform specific tasks. Okay? It doesn't belong to a specific user. It has a set of permissions attached to it. It can be assumed by AWS services like Lambda or Elastic Compute Cloud. I forget what the second C stands for. I figured out Amazon's way of labeling these is if you see like a C and then two, it means that it's ECC, or like this letter is doubled. So I forget what the second C stands for. But Lambda, Elastic Compute, or Amplify, or by users from your account, or even AWS accounts. So an example, when AWS Amplify deploys your app, it might assume a role, okay, that gives it permission to access S3 buckets. So, okay, here's another example. Like S3 is, there's three S's in the name. I can't remember what it actually stands for, but there's three S's. I found their little labeling trick. Okay, CloudFront or other services, so it can access other services. Okay. What is a permission? Permission defines what actions a role or user is allowed to perform on AWS resources. They're written as policies. Okay, that was the other thing. Yeah, like policies. They're written as policies in JSON format. And this video, I know, we add policies in JSON format, which give what? Permissions, right? Okay. They're written as policies in JSON format. A permission might say this role can read from S3. So this role can read from S3. That's a permission and stated in a policy. Okay. This role can deploy to CloudFront. There are two types of policies. Trust policies define who can assume the role. Permission policies define what the role can do once assumed. Okay? That makes sense. Why the warning? Do not delete the role or edit trust. Okay. Okay, whatever. So, whatever. Create function. Come on. Did I do something wrong? Oh, okay, here we go. Oh, whoa. What's going on? Okay. Now that you've created your function, choose a path to continue developing. Configure Amazon command line interface credentials. Okay. So we could do that. I think I already actually did that. So I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I was watching a whole bunch of tutorials, and when I was creating my AWS account, I remember setting up the CLI. I already did that. But I don't think we need to do that right now. Or, I mean, I don't think this is the path we want to go down right now. Code and test. Download the function, edit locally, install dependencies, and test. Write a test. I'm just gonna dismiss. Okay. ARN, function ARN, what's that? What is this? How do I use it? What does it mean? This is on my AWS Lambda function. Okay, so function ARN in Amazon is a key identifier, and understanding it will help you use your Lambda function more effectively. Okay, what is a function ARN? ARN stands for Amazon Resource Name. Okay, Amazon Resource Name. Amazon Resource Name. Okay, it is a unique identifier used across AWS to reference resources like Lambda functions, S3 buckets, IAM roles, etc. For a Lambda function, the ARN looks something like this, which is what we see. Okay, it breaks down this ARN. It's a Lambda function, US West, region where it's deployed, and my Amazon account. Okay. All right. How do you use it? You'll use the function ARN, Amazon resource name. Okay. Amazon resource name. Okay. You'll use the function Amazon resource name when granting permissions to other AWS services to evoke your Lambda. Okay, so when I want to give other services, such as the API gateway, I'm guessing, permission to actually evoke that Lambda, referencing the function in other API gateway, referencing the function in other services like API gateways, step functions, event bridge, etc. Okay. Setting up triggers or integrations. Okay. Deploying or managing infrastructure via tools like Terraform. Okay. For example, if you're connecting your Lambda to an S3 event, you might need to paste the function ARN into the S3 bucket event configuration. Is it sensitive? Not exactly sensitive, but it's important. Anyone with permissions to evoke your Lambda using it's Amazon resource name. Okay, I just keep trying to say that so it sticks in my mind, and that way the more I start to understand these different components of, okay, what's an ARN, what's these different permissions, what's IAM, what is, the more I get familiar and just see these things and can put it in my head, the more I will be able to start fitting things together and actually understanding the whole. So, it can trigger it. So always manage IAM, identity access management, permissions carefully. Okay. So, there we go. Here, now we have the code, and okay. So, before I go and look at the tutorial again, I am going to just kind of try to take in what I'm seeing right now. All right, so diagram and template. What happens if I do template? Well, I don't like that. So we're gonna go back to diagram. Okay. Anyways, we have layer 0 math lambda function. Okay, so I can do add trigger. Oh, this is probably what the S3. Let's see, Alexa, obviously the best department. I don't know. I don't think Alexa heard me. Anyways, the context to that statement, though, is my wife is a software engineer in the Alexa department. So that's why I have to say, Alexa, The best. The people, the smartest people in Alexa, the best. Anyways, let's try to look for what was I looking for? I forgot. What was I? Oh, right. I was trying to see if I can trigger it on an S3 like bucket or something. Okay. API gateway. So I can trigger it on API gateway. S3, so here we go. Okay. Now I'm not actually going to do this, but I'm just remember this was what I said in the future I'm thinking about doing. Okay, so bucket, choose or enter the ARN of the S3 bucket. Okay, so the S3 bucket is also going to have an Amazon resource name. And this Amazon resource name is that serves as the event source. The bucket must be in the same region as the function. Okay, so I can put, so the S3 bucket is also going to have an ARN, and then I just take that ARN of the S3 bucket and put it in here. Okay, so event types. Select the event that you want to have trigger the Lambda function. Okay, well, let's just see what our options are. Okay, so we can do like post. We can do like if there's any kind of post to our S3. Huh. Here we go. Okay, I think we actually found out how to do that. It's kind of cool. Okay, add triggers, add destination. Okay, what's add destination? SNS topic. Okay, SQS. I know that SQS is an Amazon AWS service as well. I don't know what SNS is. S3 bucket is obviously also Amazon service. Lambda function, okay. Bridge event, okay. Designate, choose the ARN of the designation or enter the ARN manually. Okay. So something to figure out later. But we should be able to come in here and just follow what the tutorial says. Okay, so we're gonna come in here and we're going to, it's just gonna copy and paste this in, but we are going to, let me see if I can get the quality a little bit better. It's actually gonna be a little bit difficult to do that. Let me see if I can come here. Okay. So import JSON, import math. Okay, I'm going to delete all this and import math. Okay. No, I do not want to import operating system. Okay, so def lambda handler event and context. Okay, one of the things that I'm curious about is lambda handler. Is that kind of like a keyword of a function that I have to have? Kind of like how main is a keyword function. It's a question that we're going to be answering. Okay. So now I can do math result is equal to math dot power of what? Int. And we are taking this event. Okay, so we take this event. Okay. And then we grab the what is called base, okay? And we do int of event, and we grab what's called exponent, okay? So event is some kind of what? An array? So anyways, and that's why it's good to actually write this down instead of just copy and pasting, because now I'm like, okay, well, hold up, how is this actually working? Okay, so now we can return, and we are going to return a JSON object. Okay, so we want to return the status code, and that is going to be 200. Okay, and then we want to return the body, and that is going to be, okay, JSON dot dumps. I don't know what dumps is, but we're gonna figure that out later. Your result is, and then plus stringify math results. Okay. Yes. And close the bracket. Okay, so what I want to do is I just want to take this, copy this, and we're going to come in here and we are going to say, number one, is lambda handler a key, I don't know, reserve function name. For example, would lambda handler 2 event context be a valid name for the function? Okay. Number 2 is now going to be what is event and what is context. How are we able to grab things in event based off of a string? If event is an array, normally you give an index and not a string. Does this mean it is a dictionary? So in that case, whatever base would be the key, and then you get back the value, which is what's being stored at that key. What is the JSON dot? Can you explain fully what is going on with this line? Okay, this one right here. Okay, go. Okay. Hold up, while it's doing that, I'm gonna take a little stretch. Oh. Oh. Okay. Okay. So, no, Lambda handler is not a reserved name, but it is the default entry point AWS Lambda expects when you deploy a Python function. Okay, so it actually is what I was thinking. I just didn't have the right terminology. So, default entry point, that's what I was meaning. That's kind of like main, right? The default entry point. That's another good keyword for me to like just at least remember. Default entry point. AWS looks for a function named Lambda handler unless you specify a different one in the Lambda configuration. You can name it something like Lambda handler 2, but you'd need to update the handler setting in the Lambda console or deployment config to match. Okay, so I see. So yes, this is valid as long as AWS knows to look for it. Okay, cool. So what are event and what are context? These are two parameters AWS passes into my Lambda function when it's evoked. Okay? Event is this contains the input data for the function. Okay? The input data for the function. It's typically a dictionary. Okay. Which is why you access values like that. Okay, well, if it's a dictionary, then we're completely good. We understand that. I was just making sure it wasn't some strange AWS specific thing that was happening with Python. Anyways, I don't know why that would be the case because we chose Python, and Python is Python, but just making sure. The structure depends on how the Lambda is triggered. If triggered by AWS Gateway, which I think that's what it's going to be eventually, it might contain HTTP request data. If triggered by S3, it might contain bucket or object info. If triggered manually, you can pass in any JSON structure. Okay, so it kind of depends on what's calling it. So context is an object with metadata about the evocation. Includes things like function name, memory limit, request ID, time remaining before timeout. Okay. What does this line do? Here we go. So body, JSON dumps. Okay. Math result is a number. Okay. Converts it to a string. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Turns that string into a JSON formatted string. Okay. I guess I just had never seen that dumps. Okay. Why use dumps here? AWS expects the body of the response to be a JSON string, especially when integrating with API gateway. Even though it's already a string, this dumps ensures proper escaping and formatting. You could also structure the JSON like this. Okay, fine, whatever. It's fine. So now we're gonna come back to here, okay, and continue with this. And put it like, hold on. Put it like that so that it's easier to click around. Okay, so come here and do we need to, okay, they're explaining the code. We save and deploy it. Okay, so I shall do the same. Okay. So, see anything that says save? No. Okay, I'm just doing Command S. Deploy. What do you think? You have undeployed changes. Okay. Well, then let's deploy it. Come on. Okay, successfully updated the math lambda function. Okay. All right. Deploy. And now we should be able to do test, right? So let's create a new test event. Okay. So shareable. No, I want it private. My test event, math lambda function test. Okay. And now we pass, this is what we're going to pass in as the event, right? Okay, so like this. And we said that we want base and exponent. So base, okay, and exponent. Now we want to pass this in like, I don't know, 4 and 2. 4 and 2, okay. Save. Invalid JSON. Oh. Go. Save. Okay. So now clear that out. What if I just do evoke? Int cannot convert non-string with explicit base. Error type here. Oh, that's not fun. Request ID. So wait, then what's wrong with this? No, I don't want to. Int event, okay. Oh, hold up. I didn't even close my thing here. Okay, so int event. Now, okay, so this closing one is to there. This closing one is to the int, all right? So int, and then this one is nonsense. Okay, so I should be able to save that, deploy this. Okay, and then I don't need to save this. I should be able to evoke it again because this test is accurate. Okay, and we get 16. All right, well, we also saw what a failure looks like. That's pretty cool, huh? And then they have like the billable hours or like time. So here, so okay, we have all of that. Okay, here we go. So they're doing the test. Okay, so far we have the amplify and we have the lambda. Now, give the video a like. Okay, yeah, I agree with that. I agree. Give it a like, subscribe. That's right. That's right. Good. Correct. Okay. A way to evoke the math function. A way to evoke the math function. Okay. So we're going to do now the API gateway. Okay. So
let's go do that.
yes, let's go do that.
All right, back here in the browser, I'm also going to open a new tab for this.
New
just so we
tab.
keep all the services up and visible easily. And
Okay. So we're just gonna do that. So I'm gonna come into here, API gateway. Here we are. Okay. So I think that the reason that I get this page is just because I haven't made one before. So create API. Okay. We're probably gonna do a REST API, probably, maybe, I don't know. Wait, why is it, there's no selection? What's going on? Oh, okay, well, let me do this. Okay. Hold on, it's still a little bit. There we go. Okay. So we'll see what they're up to. So come here, create an API. That's right. And which one do they select?
So here on
REST.
this.
Okay. And do build. Awesome. REST and build. Okay. New API. Yeah, probably. See what they name it. I don't know. Power of math. Okay, so I'm just gonna do math API. Math API. Okay. IP Internet Protocol version number 4. Yeah, probably. Okay. So create API. All right. So resource ID, we have a resource ID, and that's different than the ARN, Amazon Resource Name. Create a resource. Okay. So let me just come back to here. I don't know what I did. Okay. So and create method. Okay. So come to here and do create method. API actions. Create method. Okay. Select a method type. Okay, hold on. Create a method. Okay.
The type of method will be a post.
Okay. So, okay, fine. Post. Okay. And then AWS service Lambda integration type. So integrate your API with a Lambda function. That's probably what we're gonna do, right? With a Lambda function, yes. Okay. The West. Okay, Lambda function. Okay, then we say the Lambda function that we want. So math Lambda function with the ARN right there. Okay, that's pretty cool. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Oh. Okay, okay. So this is how I'm just trying to say it out loud so that it goes into my brain as well. So this is how the Lambda function or API gateway. No, this is how the API gateway is able to communicate with my Lambda function that I just created. I'm telling it which Lambda function to actually talk to when there's a post request to the API gateway that I just created. Okay, I think that's what's happening. And then we can come down here and do create method, probably. Okay. So we have an ARN again, and I think this is an ARN for the, does this mean it's an ARN for the post method? Okay. I don't know. So we got two. Okay, so. Okay. REST API with this. No, it's a different resource ID. Okay, well, what's this then? Okay, both of these have the same resource ID. I don't know. Just continue with this, I guess. They're getting this add permissions to Lambda function.
Lambda function. Now, one other thing we need to do is enable CORS, or cross-origin resource sharing.
Okay.
So come over.
So I looked up, I said that I watched this video actually twice before making this video here. And when they were talking about cores, when she was saying we need to enable cores, I was like, what's a core? And cross origin resource. Sir, what was it? Hold on.
CORS, or cross-origin resource sharing.
Sharing. Okay, yeah. So I looked that up, and essentially what that is meaning is when a service is not within the same network, meaning like local network, you need to enable communication between it. Now, obviously, please do not take my definition or what I just said and use that to learn from, because that's probably wrong. But it's just kind of like what I vaguely remember from the video that I watched. And so it's something about when services are in different like origins, and I think origin meant like domains, and domain meant different like subnets. I think that's what's going on. But okay. So let's just continue.
So come over here and make sure you've got post selected.
Yeah.
And then on the
actions
menu,
and then enable cores. Okay. So have post, API actions. Okay. Post. Do we see anything that says cores? Let's just see. Integration request, method test. I don't see cores. What? Okay. Authorization is none. What if we just do that? Does it? No? How about here? Stages, gateway responses model, documentation, certifications. I am not seeing anything to do with cores. No. Resource and actions. Resource actions. Okay. Is there anything that says resource actions? Method response, integration request, method integration. Well, let's just click through these. Okay. Integration response. Method response. Test. I'm not seeing anything about cores. Models, resource policy. Okay. I just created an AWS API gateway. The video is telling me to enable cores, but they do API actions, and there is a button, a selection for enable cores. On my API actions, there is no option to no option which is enable cores. REST API. The enable cores option is available in the REST API interface under actions, enable cores. Okay, so actions. Like, no, it's not. Okay, well, it's not. So, I don't know. Anyways, it's probably not gonna work. Come here and do this. Let's see. AWS Lambda. Okay. Select resource, enable cores. Okay, that was nice and not helpful. Awesome, thank you for that. Well, that's not what we want. Okay, so I guess it just doesn't work. um, I, I don't know. It's not going to be able to work if I don't do the cores, but it doesn't have an option for that. Update documentation. I don't know. Okay. I guess we just keep going and don't do cores.
And basically what this does is allows a web application running in one origin or domain to be able to access resources on a different origin or domain. So because our web application is running on
API resources. API resources, okay. And then they just have something called enable core. What if I just do this? I don't know. I have no idea. New stage. And then deployment stage, what do they do?
You might have different stages for
New
dev,
stage.
test, production, and so on. This one we'll call dev and deploy.
Dev and deploy. And deploy. Okay. So, do I see anything about cores? All right. That's unfortunate because it's not going to work. It's just not going to work. So the video is essentially just like, I mean, the video that I'm creating right now is kind of just like I'm building something that I know that is not going to work, which is unfortunate. Anyways, let's just, I don't know, continue with this and just play with it and try to understand what's going on, and then whatever. Okay.
Here, the invoke URL, and then this one we'll call dev and deploy. And then you'll need to copy this URL right here, the invoke URL.
Okay.
And we'll need that later, so just pull up.
Evoke URL. Do we see that? Evoke URL. We actually do see this. So I can copy this and then do like notes.text here. And then I can say API gateway that. Okay. There. Okay. So
Up a notepad or wherever you want to keep this. I'll do that myself now. And just so I can keep things straight, this will be the API gateway. So over on the left, come into resources. Click on post. And here
yeah.
you'll kind of see a flow of how this works. So we have the
dev resource. Okay. Post. Hey, whoa. Oh, here. Enable course. Okay. Yeah. Successfully created. Okay. So now, gateway response, API. Okay. Here we go. So, what do we want?
web application running in one.
Gateway responses for, okay. So it looks like they didn't select either of those, but we did methods post, okay, and then
origin or domain to be able to access resources on a different origin or domain. So because our web application is running on one domain in Amplify, our Lambda function is going to be running in another. We need to be able to work across those domains or origins. That's why we're doing this. You can just click on Enable Cores.
Okay. So I come here and then do save. Okay. Yeah! Okay, I have a lot more motivation now. I'm full of energy. Here we go. Let's go. And was it? Okay. Awesome. Cool. So we have the client. They do the method request, integration request, goes to Lambda, integration response, method response comes back here. So method request, integration request. So each of these line up with one of these. Integration response, method response, test. Okay. 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 So then we come in here and get that, and then we can do test. So post method test. And then they just have all of this, no headers. I don't know. Request body, base, and exponent. Okay. Base 2. Exponent of 4. Okay, I don't know if this is gonna work because this one has, oh, these are like not shaded in. Okay, test. Okay. 16. Okay. So there we go. So our API gateway is connected to Lambda. Awesome. So now we need to store it in a database. So we're going to create a DynamoDB database. Okay. And we also need to use that identity access management. Okay. So come back into here. We go into DynamoDB. Okay. So come into here, new tab. DynamoDB, okay. Create table. Okay. Now, what do we want to do? Just math and okay. So we want this math database. Okay. Partition key is going to just be ID, and it's going to be a string. Okay. Default settings. Okay, I think all of that is okay. And we should just be able to do create table. Okay. Okay. So while that's creating, I can come back in here. And hold on.
Okay, now we do need to save the Amazon resource name or the ARN for this.
ARN,
so
Amazon resource name, yes. And then we'll find it. Okay, let's do that. So once it's created, I come in here and I look at it and I find the ARN, which is right here. Okay, so I'm gonna save this. I'm gonna say DynamoDB ARN. Okay, paste that in there. There we go. So we find that. Paste that in there.
So we'll come back to our Lambda function here, the power of math function 2.
Yes.
If you've closed that tab, just navigate back to Lambda and find this function. And you want to go to the configuration tab here.
Configuration, okay.
And then if it's not already selected, go to permissions.
Permissions.
And then you want to click on this role name here, the execution.
Okay, so just come here to the Lambda, okay. If functions. Click here. Hold on, what's going on? Come back to here, yeah. Configuration. Have here, configuration, yeah. Permissions, okay. Here's our ARN. But here's another ARN. Okay. Add permissions, view policies, auditing, okay. So, role name. Okay. Come here, and now we're in the identity access management location. Okay.
To add some additional permissions to what this role has already, permissions related to DynamoDB. To do that, come over here to the right, add permissions, and create inline policy.
Okay, so we are in the IAM roles, or sorry, the IAM location, the identity access management. We're in roles, and then for the Lambda function role. Okay, and then I think it was create inline policy. So do I need to select they don't have that selected, but create inline policy, okay. And now, come here to JSON. JSON. And then we're going to, she'll copy and paste something, but we can manually type it. Okay. So we are going to manually type this, and hopefully we don't make a mistake, but we'll see. Okay, so we have this version is 2012 1017. Statements are here. So we have this, and then we can get rid of all of this. Okay. So instead of statements, come here. Okay. So SID is going to be Visual Editor 0. Okay. And that needs to be in quotes. Okay. And now we say effect is going to be allow. Okay. And action is going to be a list, which is DYNAMODB, and then put item, this, okay. So then we have, so put item, delete item, get item, scan, query, update item, and then after this one, we will have resource, not plural, resource is going to be something here. I think it's the ARN. Yeah, the ARN of the database. So this is the Lambda function, and I wanted to talk to the database that I just created. So that is going to be this ARN. So I'm just going to copy and paste that in. Where did it go? Here it is. There. Okay. Now we need to change these. So not put item. What is it? There we go. So instead of put item, we want delete item. Okay. Now we want get item and scan. Okay. Query and update item. Okay. And then put the ARN in there. Yeah. Okay.
See,
Review policy.
we'll give it a name.
Okay. Next. What should the name be? I don't know. What are they gonna put? Power of Math Dynamo policy. Okay, so math what? Math Dynamo DB policy. Okay. Sure. And create policy. Create policy. Okay.
Now we can update the Lambda function to actually go right to the database. It wasn't doing that before. So let's come back to the Lambda function here.
Okay, so now the Lambda function has access or permissions to talk to the database. And so now we need to actually go to our code and change, oh, I don't like that. There we go. And change, can I move this over? No, okay, fine. And so now we need to change the code, which that's not what I wanted, that we're working on. Where'd it go? Here. Oh, I like that better. Never mind, I'm glad I did a backspace, or a back command. Okay. So now we're gonna copy and paste all of this. So there's a lot in there, but we will be typing it out ourselves because that'll be fun, right? Okay. I'm gonna keep this lambda handler though, actually. Okay, so let me move this over. So JSON and math, and now we do Bodo. So import Bodo 3, and then from time import get time string, this one, string f time. Okay. And now what we do, okay, dynamo dy in AMO database is equal to, and I don't know what this is, but Bodo 3 dot resource, okay, dynamo db, okay, like this. We'll need to figure out all of that later. So table is equal to, okay, dynamo table dot table, and then did I call it just math? Oops. math results. Okay. What did I actually call that? DB table. Math DB. Math results. Math results, that's what what I called this. That's not what I want, right? Wouldn't I want come on. Wouldn't I want it to be called this math DB?
Mine. So I'll just walk you through what's new here. So we have two new imports up here, one for the AWS
I think it would be math DB. Let me just do that. So math and then database. Okay. So now, okay. now, okay. Yeah. And then we have this function, and then we do math here. Okay. That's the same. Then response equals, okay. So before we return, we do response is equal to table dot put item, okay? And now, so we're evoking this DynamoDB table, and there's a function called put item, and then we can pass in as a parameter an item is equal to a JSON object with the first one being ID, okay? And that is going to be equal to the result. Wait, why would the result be the key, the primary key? That doesn't make sense, because if I do a command, let's say that I do 2 to the power of 3, okay? And then I store that in the database, okay? And then I do another 2 to the power of 3. And then it's going to have a conflict because it has the same primary key. String math result. I'm not sure about that. I actually think it should be now. Huh, we'll see. Oh wait, but no, ID I think we said ID was going to be a string. Let's maybe we can check that. So we come in here and then try to move it so that we can see it. Primary key ID is a string, so I think we should be okay. And then we're just going to do the other one, which is result is string math result, sure. Okay, and then we close that, okay, and then we do the return. I mean, I think it's okay. All right, so now let's come back in here and we need to deploy it, right? So we come in here, save it, and then do deploy. Let's see, updating the function. Okay, so now we should be able to do test, and it'll be the same test, but this will now possibly communicate to our database. So right now, here, let me just it's, can you please move over? There. Okay. So right now, indices, we have nothing, right, in this database. So if I do test, status failed, okay. Unable to import Lambda function, cannot import get time from time unknown location. Well, okay. Deploy. Test. Okay. Well, they did it, right? From time import GM time. Okay. GM time. And okay, fine. Deploy again. Okay. Test. Okay. So now we should see 16. Oh yeah, I put it up here. Refresh. Darn. Items returned. So you go into the database.
Table items. This will show you what's been stored there. We have a result now. So
items returned. So come in here. Okay. No, I don't want to go to the next one. Items returned. Additional info.
back here, when we come into explore table items, this will show you what's been.
Okay, explore table items. Come on. There it is. There it is. Exactly the way that we wanted it. Oh my goodness. Okay. There it is. There it is. Look at that. Oh my goodness.
The DynamoDB table, we've got the proper permissions on the Lambda function. We're super close.
Super close, that's right.
I noticed that we're missing a connector here. And I didn't just mess up the diagram. We actually are missing a connector here between Amplify and API HTML page. There is no way to get to it. So let's work on this final piece.
Yes.
Open that up. I'll open it in over here. So definitely not something you want to type. If you're grabbing it from the description below, you have to speed
okay. Yes, correct. Although we are going to type it, so. All right. We're gonna go back to this index.html, and then we are going to move this over, and then We're going to do so in the body, we want to do a form. Okay, so this is going to be an H1. Move this in to there. Then we do form. Okay. Action is going to be. We don't have an action. Okay. Form here, and then we can do label, and then base number. Okay. Input, and type is text, and ID is equal to base. All right. So then later we can do get item or document get item by ID and then base. Yeah. Okay. And then we do another label. Label is, we don't need any of this. We don't care about that. Okay, now we want exponent, and then we'll probably do input again. So input is going to be text, and we have ID is equal to exponent. Exponent, okay. Is that what they did too? ID is exponent, yes, that is. Okay. And then they have the JavaScript above. So they have the head here and script. Okay. So I wish I could see that a little bit better. No, I don't care about styling, so that's none of my concern. Okay. So call API, okay. Call API is equal to var call API is equal to base and exponent. Okay, and we are doing an anonymous function here, right? Like this, and now we do var my headers is equal to new headers. And this is another good thing about like doing this with typing it yourself, because I know that I definitely don't do a lot of client-side JavaScript. So what is headers? Where does it come from? I don't know, but it's nice that we are identifying that stumbling block. Okay, so my headers dot append, and I want to append content type and JSON. Okay. Application.json. And now I want to do var raw is equal to JSON dot stringify. Okay. What am I stringifying? Base. Okay. And then I want exponent, exponent. Okay, so that comes from here. And then we close that off with a semicolon. And now, var request options is equal to curly bracket. Okay, so method is method. Okay, fine. Post headers is equal to my headers. Okay, so headers must be just like a HTTP, like the head of an HTTP request. And so that's why it's client-side Java. Okay, that kind of tracks. Body is raw. Okay, so that's this JSON that we created right there. And redirect is follow. Okay. Like that. And now I can do fetch. Fetch your API gateway entry or endpoint. Okay. And that is going to be request options here. And then dot then response okay, response.text. This might be boring, but I'm trying to do it so that I can gain more experience and just like see it again and get more familiarity and comfort with it. So sorry if it's boring, but I'm learning. So then okay, result is passed in alert, and then JSON dot parse result, okay, dot body. So we are going to fetch this API gateway with the request parameters, okay. Where exactly do we send the API? Because we need to send it to that API gateway. And so I know that we'll need to use like the public URL, but I'm not seeing that anywhere. Maybe it's right there. Oh, okay. That's probably where it is. And then we do an alert, okay, and then the text of the alert is we get the result from what's passed in as this response, and then get the body of that, okay? And then we do a dot catch. Error is console.log and then error. Hold on, now this is actually down here. So we have that, and then we're gonna have a button. And this is going to be of type button, and we are going to do on click is going to be that function that we did up here, right? Call API. Call API, yes. And then we pass in the document dot get item by ID, right? Get, is it get item or get element? Okay, get element by ID. And we want to pass in this base right there. Okay. And then, okay, dot value. Just dot value. Okay. I don't like the look of that. Okay. So now I'm gonna do document dot get element by ID. Okay, and then I pass in exponent. Okay. And then I should do dot value, like that. And then I can do calculate, okay? All right, but we still need to go and deal with our function up here. So I haven't forgotten about that. Okay. Error. This and like that. So I think this is good. Okay. Let's just do you see any issues? Oh, we didn't do the AWS. Okay. We need to actually put this in. What's that gonna be? That's gonna be here. We need the AWS gateway, which is here. And then I need to ARN, I think. Is that actually what I need? Let's just watch this.
And this is what's hooking us up to our API gateway endpoint. But very important though, you need to update that with your URL. So let me go grab that for mine. Here, it should end in dev if you created a dev stage like I did.
Okay, so I don't think that API gateway, did I save that in here? So I did save this, but how do I find that again? I wanna. Okay. Paste. Come in here. So do you?
So I'll grab that, update this here.
So it is with the quotes. Okay, fine. Come in here and paste that like that. But how do I find this? Where did it go? Okay, here. Here. Details, maybe? I don't know. Okay. Uh, that is a good question. Here. Yeah, okay. No URL strings. Might be this one. I'm not sure. Okay, good thing we saved it, right? But, okay.
But this is basically the code that is going to pass your base and ultimately being just the pop, make a zip deck study. And they're going to need to go.
Let me go back to ChatGPT and see. Incorrect on click. You're trying to pass in call API, but your syntax is broken in this line. Okay. It should be button type button on click here. Okay, I have my parentheses all strange. Okay, fine. There we go. So now missing prevent default. By clicking the button inside form, we'll try to submit the form and reload the page. You should prevent that. Add this to your handler or move the logic to a proper on submit. What? I understand that it's going to try to reload the page. Although that's not what they did, right?
The code that is going to.
Okay. So, what's the third problem? Use on submit instead of on click. Do they do on submit or on click? They do on click. I'm gonna save that. And then I'm gonna rename this to be index 2. Okay, and then index.html. Okay, and then I'm just gonna use this one because I trust it more. Paste that into there, save that, and then we will delete this one. Okay, move to trash, and then we will compress this. So let's go back to here, and it was zip, and then index dot, oh, it's up there, dot zip, okay, and then index dot html. Okay, so now I should be able to go back to Should be able to go back to my Amplify and redeploy it or something. I don't know.
Pass your base and exponent this alert. A zip file out of this again. Oh, we'll just grab the zip file, drag it over into this first tab back here. Just grab the zip and amplify. So I've got amplify open in this first tab back here.
Yeah.
Just grab the zip file, drag.
Hold up, wait. Staging deployed, deploy updates maybe? Okay, yeah. Choose zip, and apparently we need to actually choose it in here. So then I will do this AWS files index.zip, yes. Save and deploy. Okay. Deploying. Deployed. And then I should be able to come here. All right, let's see. I'm gonna say 8 to the power of 4. Okay, does it work? I don't know. Well, we didn't get an alert, and we're supposed to get an alert. Which means it didn't work. So if I come here, to my database, no, my database here, and then do refresh, I only see this, which means it didn't work. Okay. Hi, wait, hold on. Uh-oh. Which one was indexed? I want to delete this. Delete that. Okay. Move to trash. Now, I want to... This is the one that was GPT, right? Rename, and I'm just going to call this GPT. Okay. And then I'm going to rename this one back to index. Just index, okay? So now this is the one that I created. Maybe this one will work. So I should be able to do the same thing. Like this, okay? Redeploy it. Deploy updates. Choose here. Index.zip. Open. Save and deploy. Okay. Okay. Come here. Oh, that's awful. But anyways, 3 and 2, and can I click anything? No. Okay. What if I just literally copy and paste their code? I don't know. Okay. So now I am going to rename this to be self. Okay. Then I'm going to create a new one called index.html. Okay. I'm going to paste that into there. I am going to delete this. Okay. And then I am going to come in here and do this again. Okay, and now I am going to come back to this. I am going to deploy updates. I am going to choose this. I am going to get this. And I am going to open it and save. All right. So now I'm going to open this. Okay. This looks similar to what they created. I'm going to do 6. I'm going to do 2 and then calculate. Again, I don't see an alert, which is amazing. That's awesome. Yeah, it's not working.
I is what's hooking us up to with your UWeb if you created an alert we saw there of that. So I'm going to delete, and this will automatic. So it should be the same. Do a refresh. So this was our original one. Let's see what we have now. And ta-da, some style. All right, so let's walk through what's happening here. We're going to enter our numbers. When we click this calculate
button,
button,
you should see an
that
alert.
Script here on our HTML page is going to call API gateway. That's then going to trigger the Lambda function, which does the calculation. That gets written to the database, and then we're going to get a message returned to us in the browser through API gateway.
Except we don't.
Here we go, calculate.
Yeah.
And the result is 256.
And then you can go into.
All right, now before you go run off, is a link that you should be able to.
Yeah. So. Oh, wait, hold on. If I copy and pasted this, I need to put this in there. Hold on. Okay, let's just try one more thing. Come on. Come on. Work. So I want to come in here. I get my notes, and I want to copy and paste this here into index here. Paste. Save that. Delete this. Okay? Is it gonna work this time? I don't know. Okay. How many times have I deployed this? Deploy updates. Okay. Choose a zip. I want this zip. Upload the zip. Save and deploy. Okay. Deployed. Right, come on. This one, I'm going to say 4, and I'm going to say 2. Okay. Well, darn. Nope. Lambda function, functions. Okay. Well, monitor. I don't know. API gateway. Post request, enable cores. Okay, well, darn. So it doesn't, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's not working. It's kind of unfortunate. I was hoping to be able to get it to work, but I guess in the next video I can try something else. I don't know. I'll think of something. We're going to continue trying to understand how to get AWS to actually work, and hopefully we will be able to get something working. But yeah. So I don't know. I don't know why it's not working. It might be a little dumb mistake. If that's so, that's unfortunate that that dumb mistake kind of tripped us up. If it's something bigger, it's like, okay, well. But yeah, so I think moving forward, I am going to post more videos trying to explore AWS, trying to learn about it, trying to build other things, and seeing if we can get anything else to work, and how we can start playing with it, building from it, and just understanding it more and more. So if that is interesting to you, subscribe. I would love to have you along. My name is Timothy Lee Grant, and I will see you guys very soon. But we should shut these down. I just remembered that. Okay, so let's go to here, and let's try to shut it down. Staged. How do I shut you down? Okay, let's go to the Lambda, and I can do Lambda. Okay. Applications, maybe? Functions. Here, action, delete. Okay. Confirm. Okay. There we go. So we deleted our one there. So now we can delete this here. Okay. Share feedback. Okay. Anyways, actions. No. DynamoDB dashboard maybe. Create table, tables. Okay, tables. MathDB, I can do. Oh, there's delete. Okay. Confirm. Okay. All right, so we deleted that. This one is the roles, which actually we already deleted the Lambda function, so it should be. Can we do? I don't know. Do we need to do remove? I don't know. Math dyn db policy. Okay. API gateway, we will remove this, so should be able to come in here. Okay, delete, 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 delete. and resource. Stages, resources, delete API, confirm. Okay, we still need to delete this one though. Hosting, overview, staging, okay. So, not download. All apps, okay. Well, okay, so shut
Should be in
down.
the free tier, but just in case you don't want any of this tab, you want to come up to actions on the top right here.
This isn't amplify, okay. We are in hosting environments, okay. All apps, power math. All apps, this one, okay. And now there should be something that says actions, but there's not. And it's still up. I don't want it to be up. Default to layout. I don't want it to be up. App settings, can just delete it. Just delete it. Edit. Yes. Edit role. Edit repository settings. Actions. Disconnect branch. Just delete. Just delete. Just delete. Deleting app. Delete app. Yes. Okay.
Here and delete app.
Okay.
You'll need to confirm. Oh.
And then
here, just to make sure I'm getting the right one.
the database. Okay.
Function, select that, delete. To API, delete. Go hit that like button.
All right, well, that's super unfortunate. I don't know. I was hoping that we would be able to get something, but it didn't work. All right. Well, we'll continue to try to play with AWS different services, and maybe this one was too complex and I was doing too much, and so maybe I will need to try to make it more simple in the future and try to understand the concepts. Maybe I jumped in too fast, but I feel like this was definitely a very good learning experience. even though it didn't work, I feel like I was exposed to a lot of new ideas and I got to build it myself, not just watch the video. So I learned a lot and I'm very happy with the results, even though the results weren't what I was really hoping. Um, but yeah, it's kind of a letdown. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Um, we're going to be back. We're going to do other videos and continue learning. But yeah, so subscribe if you want to, and we can follow along on this journey together. And hope everyone is having a great day. My name is Timothy Lee Grant, and goodbye.